I was working overtime at the company when my phone suddenly received a message. Congratulations to the class monitor and the study committee member on finally tying the knot. The message was from a classmates group chat. I didn't pay much attention, treating it as a minor interlude. However, within less than a minute, the group chat was bombarded with messages nonstop, completely disrupting my work progress. I opened the chat and found the screen filled with messages. All of them were congratulating a girl named Vanessa and the study committee member Adrian on their happy marriage. My heart suddenly froze. It was only then that I realized I had logged into my husband's chat account. Adrian was my husband of 3 years. And Vanessa was the secretary my husband had hired 6 months ago. With trembling hands, I wanted to call my husband to ask what was going on. The next second, my phone suddenly received a consumption alert for 500,000 yuan, used to purchase proposal rings. I stared at the note in the message, unable to believe my eyes. With shaking hands, I examined it carefully countless times before finally confirming that I hadn't misread it. This money was automatically deducted from the intimate payment account I had set up for Adrian, and the store address was in his hometown of Rongqing. But my husband had clearly taken a flight to Switzerland yesterday afternoon. He had sent me all the details, flight tickets, hotel, project itinerary, everything meticulously. And this morning, he had just sent me a photo from the airport in Switzerland, reporting that he had arrived safely. How could such information appear? With a suffocating tightness in my throat, I opened that group chat again. Messages were still pouring in continuously. It's been 10 years, back then, I thought you two should be together, and today we've finally waited for it. Childhood sweethearts have withstood the test of time, you must be fiercely happy. Following a string of blessings, Vanessa's reply pierced my eyes like a needle. Thank you all for your blessings, we will definitely be happy. The wedding is set for next Saturday, you all must come for the celebration. Subsequently, she posted a photo of the two holding hands. The ring on the ring finger was engraved with DR, and the style and purchase price matched the consumption alert exactly. Although faces weren't visible, one of the hands was all too familiar to me. There was a faint brown mole at the knuckle, a scar from 3 years ago when he was burned by the oven while learning to bake a cake. I had held this hand countless times before sleep, tracing the lines of that scar. It was my husband, Adrian. I stared at the photo, the light from the phone screen reflecting on my face like ice. After a long pause, with trembling hands, I dialed his number. The call was answered almost immediately. Adrian's face appeared on the screen, smiling brightly, his voice still the familiar gentle tone. Sylvia, why the sudden call? In the video, his hair was still dotted with fine confetti, as if he hadn't had time to clean it up. I stared at the confetti, my Adam's apple bobbing. Where did you go today? Why is there confetti in your hair? His face showed no trace of panic. He raised his hand to brush his hair, his tone natural. I just got off the plane. The partners held a welcome ceremony and scattered a lot of this. As if to prove it, he suddenly flipped the camera. The screen swept over a banquet hall filled with clinking glasses, the light from the crystal chandeliers blinding. It only swept for 2 seconds before turning back, and he blinked at me. Sylvia, do you miss me? I'll handle things here as soon as possible and come back. Be good, you'll have to sleep alone for these few days. I tried to make my voice sound calm. Okay, it's been raining there lately, remember to bring an umbrella. Thanks for the reminder, wife. He smiled even sweeter. There's still some business here, I'll get busy first and call you back when I'm free. Without waiting for me to say another word, he had already hung up. I looked at the call log labeled husband, my finger hovering over the screen, unable to press down. The clothes he was wearing weren't the business suit he reported in the morning, but a white suit. Last month, I had seen it on his phone, a custom-made luxury item worth millions that took 3 months to make. When I casually asked, he smiled and said it was for his childhood friend's engagement next month, asking him to reference the style. At that time, there was a complex emotion in his eyes, which I took as envy, and I felt guilty for a long time. 3 years ago, to show my parents that he wasn't living off me, he chose to start his own business. He swore to build his own career before marrying me. I was deeply moved, pulled him to the Civil Affairs Bureau to get the certificate. I tucked the 2 red booklets into my pocket, looked at him, and smiled. I'm not afraid of you being penniless, as long as you love me, that's enough. Later, when the company was on track, I wanted to hold a makeup wedding, but he postponed it multiple times citing busyness. Now I understand, he deliberately delayed because he didn't want to hold it with me. His ideal partner was never me, he even found it unnecessary for me to appear in his social circle. The phone vibrated. It was a message from Adrian. Wife, I just passed by the mall and saw a necklace and bracelet that suit you perfectly. I bought the couple's version, wait for me to come back, and we'll wear them together. The message was followed by several photos. The necklace style was the minimalist one I liked. Looking at those heart emojis, my heart felt swollen as if soaked in something sour and painful. In these years of marriage, he treated me impeccably. Every morning at 7, warm milk at exactly 45 degrees, since I sleep lightly, he would light sleep-aiding incense every night, burying the scents, yet always ensuring I had a dreamless night. Knowing my weak spleen and stomach, he specially learned traditional Chinese medicine dietary therapy, and every Wednesday's pork rib soup must include poria and yam. All my preferences were noted in his phone's memo. Even if I casually mentioned a certain brand of chips has a new flavor, it would appear in the snack cabinet the next day. With such a good husband, I couldn't understand how he could cheat. Emotions continuously challenged my rational mind. When I regained clarity, my phone had already placed an order for a train ticket to his hometown. I wanted to ask him face to face, why exactly? The waiting room broadcast was announcing stations. I pinched that thin ticket, my fingertips turning white. At that moment, Adrian's call came in. Wife, the project here in Switzerland ended early. His voice carried excitement. I bought a ticket for tomorrow morning, I'll see you tomorrow. I brought you lots of gifts, including that chocolate you mentioned last time, and... I listened to him rambling on, looked down at the ticket in my hand, and suddenly found it somewhat ridiculous. I tore the ticket into pieces and threw them into the nearby trash bin. Okay, I'll wait for you at home. On the drive home, the streetlights stretched my shadow long, only to be crushed by the wheels. Pushing open the door, the wedding photo on the living room wall was glaring. In the photo, he wore a rented suit, smiling contentedly, nestled beside me. The phone suddenly popped up a friend request, noted as Vanessa. I stared at those 3 words for half a minute and accepted. She didn't send a message, but her Facebook updated at that moment. The caption was my true love, below was a wedding photo. Adrian in a sharp suit, head resting on Vanessa's shoulder, both smiling sweetly at the camera. Adrian commented below, after all the twists and turns, we've finally come together. That comment's avatar was identical to the husband avatar in my Facebook. I felt like something gripped my heart, my fingertips stiffly clicked on that avatar. As expected, it jumped to Adrian's homepage. The chat box still paused on his message, brought you chocolate. My taut nerves snapped completely at that moment. I sat down on the floor in a daze, my back hitting the coffee table leg, but I felt no pain. At that moment, a message from my best friend popped up. Sylvia, where are you? I was dining with a client today and saw someone getting engaged here. That groom looks exactly like your Adrian. My replying fingers were shaking. Send it to me? Okay. 1 minute later, my best friend sent a video. In the video, Adrian was wearing the white formal attire from today's video call. Standing on stage, crying as he accepted the ring handed by Vanessa. Vanessa said, "Give me a chance to take care of you, I want to spend the rest of my life with you." Amid the crowd's cheers, they embraced and kissed passionately, with voices in the background shouting, "Kiss! Kiss again!" My hand gripping the phone tightened fiercely, knuckles turning white. My chest felt like a blunt knife had been inserted, stirring bit by bit. I sat in the living room all night, rehearsing countless times in my mind what to do when I saw Adrian. Should I hysterically argue, quietly leave, or pretend I knew nothing? 5 years of dating, 3 years of marriage. We had almost occupied each other's entire youth. I dared not imagine what my life would become without him. letting go easily, yet unwilling to abandon years of emotions. But the bit of self-respect in my bones made me unable to pretend not to see that crack. I got up to wash, combed my hair neatly in front of the mirror, wanting to have a dignified talk with him. But from morning to evening, Adrian didn't return. I messaged him, and soon received his video call. Wife, sorry, there's a small issue with the project here, might delay another 4 or 5 days. His face carried apology. I had a delivery by your favorite soy sauce stack, it should arrive soon. As soon as he spoke, the doorbell rang. Opening the door, it was indeed the delivery, holding the familiar soy sauce stack. Adrian watched in the video, smiling and asking, "How is it? Still hot, right? When I'm not home, you still need to eat on time, don't stay up late all the time." He rambled on. I looked at that soy sauce stack, which I used to find fragrant every time, but now it felt choking in my throat. All the questions were stuck in my throat, unable to come out. Very good. I squeezed out 2 words from my throat. Adrian seemed to notice something off, his tone softening. "Sorry, wife, I misestimated the progress. I'll handle it as soon as possible and go back early, okay? By the way, in half a month it's our 3rd wedding anniversary, I'll definitely rush back to spend it with you." I looked into his eyes, which once held the light I knew. Finally, I couldn't help asking, "Adrian, do you like me?" He was stunned for a moment, then smiled. "Wife, are you silly? You're my wife, if I don't love you, who do I love? In this lifetime, I love only you. Then if you betrayed me?" Without any hesitation, he extended 3 fingers, making a swearing gesture in front of the camera. "In this lifetime, I could never betray you, unless you don't want me." I wasn't convinced and asked again, "What if? What if?" He smiled, but his eyes were serious. "Then I'd die a horrible death." Okay. Those who betray true hearts will swallow 10,000 needles. Adrian, that's what you said. I hastily said a couple of words and hung up, my chest so stuffy I couldn't breathe. Vanessa posted on Facebook again, caption, "This is what my husband personally fetched from the seabed for me, he said it's a blessing from the sea god." The image was a pearl bracelet engraved with their 2 names. I recalled once telling Adrian that I had seen a post online. Legend has it that for 2 people in love, if one partner goes to the North Sea to catch pearls and gives them to the loved one to wear, they will never separate for life. I smiled then and said, "When I have time, I'll go diving to fetch some pearls and make one." He gently touched my head, smiling, "It's a lie, it's all emotional value. Besides, the seabed is so dangerous, what would I do if something happened to you?" I thought he was genuinely worried about me and truly didn't care about those rituals. Turns out, he believed it, it's just that the person accompanying him to fetch pearls wasn't me. He was so invested in this wedding that he was willing to personally dive into the sea. I was silent for a long time, then messaged my best friend, asking if she was still in Rongqing. She sent me an address, "Still here. Sylvia, this really is your husband, name and appearance are identical. They're holding the wedding here in a few days, do you want to come see?" I immediately bought a plane ticket and flew to Rongqing. Upon arrival, my best friend told me they were trying on wedding dresses at a downtown bridal shop. The designer was invited from Italy. I heard a handmade custom dress costs hundreds of thousands. My best friend's voice carried anger, "Sylvia, this man is too much." Following her directions, I found that bridal shop. I sent Adrian a location video, "Husband, I'm in your hometown." The call connected instantly, his voice with a barely noticeable panic, "Wife, why did you come suddenly? My parents went traveling a couple of days ago, you should have said in advance so I could have them wait." Listening to his panic, I smiled, "I only met you in university, I haven't properly seen the place where you grew up. I want to walk around more, understand you a bit more." Adrian forced a smile, just about to speak when Vanessa's voice came from the side, "Adrian, are you done?" I frowned, "Who's speaking? Where are you?" His voice instantly lowered, trembling, "Nothing, it's a bit noisy outside. I'll call you tonight." The call was hastily hung up. I watched as Vanessa pushed the door into the room, then quickly entered the adjacent compartment. The bridal shop's partitions had poor soundproofing, their voices came through clearly. Vanessa's voice carried dissatisfaction. Am I so unpresentable? Why did you hang up? Sylvia is checking up, better be careful these days. Adrian's voice was emotionless. How long do we have to sneak around? Vanessa's voice rose. I've liked you for 10 years, and in the end, you want me to be the mistress? If I hadn't gone abroad to study back then, you'd have been my husband long ago. Adrian didn't speak. After a while, kissing sounds came, followed by his coquettish tone. Don't be angry. I've already admitted you to my parents, they like you a lot. I've also accompanied you to meet your parents, all the necessary rituals are there. As for the divorce, give me some more time. I'll let you stand rightfully by my side, make you the president's wife. Vanessa's voice softened a bit, then hurry up. Not long after, rapid breathing sounds came. Enduring the churning in my stomach, I left the bridal shop in disarray. Stepping out the door, my best friend cursed angrily, fucking disgusting, these two actually started fooling around right in the bridal shop. Cheating is one thing, but they're even holding a wedding. You shouldn't have stopped me just now, let me kill those two bastards. She ranted nonstop, but seeing my gloomy face without a word, she obediently shut her mouth, looking at me worriedly. Sylvia, what now? Adrian is so blatantly betraying you, aren't you going to do anything? I looked at the photos on my phone, past memories like paper soaked in water, blurred. When is their wedding? In 3 days. 3 days was enough to arrange everything properly. Then I'll send them a grand gift of the century. I rented a hotel room across from the church, the window facing the wedding venue directly. In these 3 days, Vanessa didn't send me a single message, but her Facebook updated frequently. I looked at the photos she posted. Adrian patiently accompanying her to pick wedding rings, under the jewelry store lights, his profile gentle like a painting. They went to buy the 3 golds, Adrian personally put the gold bracelet on Helen, he even gave Helen the jade gem I had searched for a long time last year. And the antiques I collected, the vase worth 200 million, he gave to Richard. As for Vanessa, she gave nothing to Adrian. But he transferred all his company shares to her name. Vanessa posted all of this on Facebook. Adrian commented below, you waited for me 10 years, I'm willing to give you everything, to show you my sincerity. These days, they selected venues, took wedding photos, met parents, booked banquets, every step taken so seriously. Finally, the wedding day arrived. Early in the morning, the church began decorations, balloons, and flowers piled like a mountain. I messaged Adrian, when are you coming back? I miss you. His message came back quickly, voice very low, soon, back tomorrow, today wrapping up the last bits. Be good and wait at home. Looking at the phone, I sent a voice message, these days you're away, I prepared a surprise for you. The express will arrive today, remember to sign for it. Adrian's message came back quickly, with panic, okay, I know. You get busy, I won't disturb you. Not long after hanging up, my best friend came over to ask, what did you send them? I bribed the staff there, right after he finished the call with you. He immediately called a foreign friend on business in Switzerland, instructing in English to help pick up the express and send it to her after unsealing. I smiled faintly, their surprise. He didn't know, the address I filled wasn't his hotel in Switzerland, but the wedding venue here. The gift I sent must be signed for in person. I changed into my most appropriate dress, applied exquisite makeup. Looking in the mirror, just like on our wedding day, but with something more in my eyes. Arriving at the wedding hotel entrance, security stopped me, Madam, please show your invitation. I don't have an invitation, I smiled, took out my phone and flipped to a photo. I'm the groom's university classmate, specially came from out of town to give them a surprise. The photo was from university graduation, Adrian and I standing in the crowd. He on tiptoes, whispering something in my ear, me smiling foolishly. Security looked at the photo, then at me, no longer blocking, go in. Thank you. I entered the wedding venue, it was already full of people. Music playing, guests laughing, everything so festive. The MC stood on stage, voice loud, "Ms. Vanessa, do you take Mr. Adrian as your husband, regardless of?" "I do." Vanessa's voice eager. The MC turned to Adrian, "Mr. Adrian, do you take Ms. Vanessa as your wife, never to part in this life?" Adrian gazed tenderly at Vanessa. Just as he was about to speak, I kicked open the door with one foot. Bang! All sound stopped abruptly. Countless gazes fell on me. Hearing the sound, Adrian swallowed the words he was about to agree to. His face pale, lips moving for a long time, the whole person seemingly frozen in place. My gaze swept over him and Vanessa beside him. I hooked my lips in a smile. "Husband, you're getting married, why didn't you invite me, your legitimate wife, for a celebratory drink?" This sentence was like a bomb, the scene exploded instantly. Discussions, gasps, chair scraping sounds mixed together like a chaotic symphony. I clapped my hands, bodyguards behind me filed in, carrying boxes one by one. For this wedding, they spent tens of millions. Fortunately, the stage was big enough to hold my blessings for them. Vanessa's face darkened like the bottom of a pot. "What do you want?" I looked at her with a fake smile. "Of course, to let everyone witness your great love." I waved my hand, the bodyguards opened the boxes. Inside were enlarged standees printed with their bed photos and intimate shots. Originally over 3,000, I initially worried they wouldn't fit, so I carefully selected only 50. The rest were made into videos, looping on the on-site big screen, 360 degrees, no blind spots. Actually, Vanessa didn't know, from the moment she added me. I knew she was deliberately provoking. So her way of defending her territory was to constantly show off affection. Bed photos, intimate shots, videos, all in high definition and censored versions on Facebook. She wanted me to back off knowingly, to leave in despair. But, how could that be? The flower I nurtured with my own hands, why let others pick it? Since the flower turns its thorns toward its nurturer, then I don't mind uprooting it entirely and grinding it into mud. So, I printed out their illicit affairs. Countless ambiguous captions, photos, videos, chat records, all clearly presented before everyone. Amid everyone's shocked gazes, I took out my marriage certificate with Adrian, holding it overhead. We'd been married 3 years, only a few days ago did I discover my husband has a true love outside. As the legitimate wife, sending this gift on their wedding day, are you all satisfied? Sylvia. You're courting death. Vanessa's face red with anger, rushed over to hit me but was kicked to the ground by a bodyguard. She got up to Adrian. "Adrian, she humiliates me like this, and you do nothing? Tell them I'm not the mistress." Adrian came to his senses, looking at me, voice cold as ice. "Sylvia, you misunderstood, things aren't as you think. Go back first, after I handle this, I'll explain to you." I laughed. "Explain? You've slept together, got engaged, and now holding the wedding. How else to explain this?" His emotions finally couldn't hold, annoyance flashed across his face. "I admit I lied about the business trip. But I don't want to make a big deal. Go back immediately, and I can pretend today never happened." "Why do you command me?" I looked at him. "What qualification do you have?" Seeing he couldn't reason with me, he turned his gaze to the bodyguards behind me, sternly scolding, "Are you blind? Who let you in? Forgot who pays your wages? Throw these things and her out together." I was amused by anger. He still didn't know his situation. These people were hired by me with my money. What qualification do you have to order them? I turned around, said to the bodyguards, "Paste them in every corner here, let everyone see their love clearly. Since he wants to marry him so much, I'll fulfill it." Seeing things escalating, Adrian finally exploded. "Enough." His voice carried endless fatigue. "If you make more trouble, don't blame me for not saving face." This man was rotten to the core, dirty through and through. I couldn't hold back, raised my hand and slapped him hard. Slap! A loud slap echoed. I looked at his stunned face, my heart a wasteland. "I came today not to hear your explanation, but to tell you, we're over." With that, I turned and left. Just out of the hotel, I dialed my father's number. Dad, I'll listen to you, come back to the company to help. Cut off the financing to Luke Corporation, sever all projects. In 1 month, I'll bring my own team over. Back then, to be with Adrian, I rejected family arrangements, gave up inheritance rights to the family business. I thought love could overcome everything, wanted to rely on my own ability to make him recognized by my parents. I worked desperately, gave him all resources, watched his company grow step by step. I thought I hadn't misjudged him. In the end, it was I who lost utterly. The other end was silent for a long time, father's voice hoarse, good that you've thought it through. If you need anything, tell the family. Hung up, my best friend came over, just leaving like that? What else? I gazed at the distant sky, he once illuminated me too, leave some dignity. Moreover, some fires, once ignited, will burn naturally. With so many parents and relatives from both sides at the wedding, it's enough for them to handle. My best friend still puzzled, but didn't ask further. I bought a same-day ticket home, had people pack my things, moved out that night. When Adrian returned, he'd face only an empty house. At home handling work, phone suddenly popped Adrian's message, "What do you mean? Moved everything out? Really want divorce? I told you I have reasons, why don't you believe?" I didn't reply, directly blocked all his contacts. Actually, after discovering his affair, before coming to Rongqing, I had a lawyer draft the divorce agreement. But when the lawyer checked assets, told me a more ironic fact, "Ms. Sylvia, your marriage certificate with Mr. Adrian is fake." At that moment, all love and hate seemed drained, leaving only numbness. I tore up the divorce agreement, feeling only that I owed myself an explanation. The next day, I went to the company for handover. Pushing open the office door, Adrian sat in my position. His eyes full of red veins, looking like he hadn't slept all night. "Why is your phone off? Why no reply to messages? Where did you move to? I explained to you, why won't you believe? Haven't I been good enough to you these years? Must you treat me like this?" His barrage of questions came, I calmly placed the resignation report before him. I won't share a husband with others. Moreover, our marriage certificate is fake, no need for divorce. After today, we have no relation. He was stunned, a flash of panic in his eyes. "You know everything?" I smiled bitterly, "You've never loved me, I only understand now. Wish you, get what you want." I turned to leave, but my wrist was gripped tightly by him. "You can't go." "I don't agree." At that moment, Vanessa pushed the door in. Seeing us tugging, she immediately put on an aggrieved expression. "Ms. Sylvia, this isn't Adrian's fault, it's all mine. Back then, to save him, I injured my body and can't have children. He wanted to give me a wedding to repay me, to reassure my parents. Blame me if you must, don't make it hard for him." A flash of guilt in Adrian's eyes, his grip on my hand loosened. "It's not your business, I did it willingly. Looking at me, if she doesn't accept, let her go." Watching their duet, I only felt disgusted. "Don't act in front of me. I don't care to see such dirty things." With that, I shook off his hand and left the company without looking back. After handling everything, I returned to the Wen family. Parents stood at the door waiting, worry in their eyes unconcealed, but didn't ask much. "Dad, Mom, I'm back. We separated. From now on, he's not your son-in-law. I'll work hard, take care of you." Mom came over, gently hugged me. "Good to have you back, as long as you're well, we support you." I returned to my own company, taking over everything as the heir. Coming back with me was my core team of 5 years. To better move on from this relationship, I devoted almost all my time to work. In just half a year, I led One Corporation to new heights. And thoroughly buried that false marriage in the past. As for Luke Corporation, without our family's support, the capital chain broke quickly. Core employees jumped ship one after another, suppliers came daily to demand debts. Vanessa knew nothing but sweet talk. Company matters all pressed on Adrian alone. He ran everywhere possible to pull financing, but the market only looks at interests. No one willing to help a company about to collapse. In less than half a year, Lu Corporation was on the brink of bankruptcy. The Su family not only didn't help but daily asked him for money. "Adrian, your brother wants to buy a car, give some money? I fancy a bag lately, buy it for mom?" Finally one day, Adrian couldn't hold back, the company account has no money left. He wanted to sell the house and antiques previously given to the Su family, but was pointed at and cursed by Helen. "What do you want? That's the bride price you gave our family. Want it back? No way. If I knew you were so useless, I shouldn't have let my daughter be with you." Adrian angrily slapped Helen. Seeing this, Richard picked up a nearby stick and hit him. "You dare hit my wife? You're rebelling." The stick fell on him, blow after blow. Beaten bloody, the Su family cursed and left. He fainted by the roadside, woke up in the hospital, alone beside him. He called Vanessa, always busy tone. Messages sank without trace. In vulnerability, people always recall past goodness. He recalled how every time he was sick, I would stay by the bed, cook different porridges for him, recall him casually saying he wanted wontons from the South City, I'd drive 2 hours to buy, recall he feared the dark, I'd wait till he was asleep before daring to turn off the light. But now, nothing beside him. He forced himself up to get water, passing a ward, heard a familiar voice. "It's all your fault, so wild last night, that's why we're in the hospital today. No more like that tonight." Adrian pushed the door open, saw Vanessa hugging a young boy, smiling gently. The boy looked just over 20, very fresh and sunny. Seeing Adrian, the boy smiled. "You're her husband? So old, looking so shabby? Don't humiliate yourself." The boy hugged Vanessa tighter, proudly declaring sovereignty to him. And Vanessa didn't even glance at Adrian. "Anything else? If not, leave, don't disturb us." Adrian was pushed by her, fell to the ground. Only then did he understand. Vanessa loved not him, but his money. He was just their family's ATM. Adrian returned home in a daze, saw court summons in the mailbox at the door. Company bankrupt, house forcibly auctioned, he must move out in 3 days. He clearly remembered millions in the account. How sudden bankruptcy. He called the accountant, the voice cold. Vanessa transferred all the money, suppliers didn't get final payments, sued the company. "You're the legal representative, debts are on you." Adrian struck as by lightning. He panically called Vanessa to question. The voice there laughed lightly. "If I don't leave, wait for you to lose everything? How are you so useless? Can't even manage a company. This money, consider it your compensation to me." "I don't care, solve it yourself." Adrian gritted his teeth in anger, questioned. "We're husband and wife. This is joint debt. Even if you escape, police will find you to compensate." But the next word struck him like lightning. "Husband and wife? We didn't even get the certificate. What couple? That so-called marriage certificate of ours is also fake. I married and had kids abroad long ago. If not for my bad life abroad a few years ago, and just seeing in the news you made it and have money, I wouldn't have come to you. Actually, those 3 years you crushed on me in high school, I knew. The reason I didn't agree was I despised you as too ordinary. What childhood sweethearts. Your family average, looks plain, where do you match me? Didn't match before. Now, not only older, but no capital to even make me look twice. In the future, don't come find me." The call hung up, calling again, empty number. Adrian slumped on the ground, finally understanding how ridiculous he was. His years of obsession, just a joke in others' eyes. His so-called true love, using him from start to end. Later, he sued the Su family for fraud, embezzlement of company funds. Police, after 2 months of pursuit, finally arrested Vanessa's family and imprisoned them. Su parents, for participating in fraud, sentenced to 10 years. And Vanessa, for huge amounts in fraud and embezzlement, sentenced to 20 years. For a long time in their remaining lives, they could only spend in prison. The recovered money just enough to clear all his external debts. This money, almost all given by me back then. So in the end, perhaps he'd sigh that it was I who unconsciously pulled him back each time he fell into the abyss. After settling everything, he packed his remaining luggage, attempting to find me for reconciliation. He waited downstairs at one corporation for a week, finally blocking me when off work. I was talking to a client, he suddenly pounced over. "Sylvia, I was wrong, I really know I was wrong. The one I love is you, please, forgive me? Give me another chance? I can't live without you." Looking at his haggard appearance, I frowned, had bodyguards pull him away. "Adrian, we ended long ago. From the moment you chose to deceive me, today's outcome was destined. You've never loved me, you loved only my goodness to you, and what I could give you. Now you've lost everything, only then recall my goodness? Too late. Wish you, well in the future, don't appear before me again." With that, I turned into the car, no looking back. Outside the window, he slumped on the ground, like an abandoned child. But my heart had no ripples. Some people, missed is missed. Some hurts, once caused, can't be mended. All the past, as if died yesterday. All the future, as if born today. My life, just beginning.